Hello, everybody. I've been wanting to do this video for a long time. I thought I'd try it as a live stream and just see how it works out. I'm involved in a lot of Facebook 65 Mustang groups. I've learned so much. I've only been working on the car that I'm building for 2.5 years. It's my first big old car project. I've done some newer things, cleaning them up, fixing them up, whatever. But as far as a classic car, this is my absolute first, especially where I'm kind of in charge of it. I did help my mother and father do a car years ago, but this is the one that, it was my father's car. I inherited it and I'm building it. I learned a lot from these groups, but there's a question that I see over and over and over again in posts where somebody will be driving along, they'll see an old car parked in a driveway, or maybe they'll see an open garage door and some old car with boxes stacked on top of it or something. And they say to themselves, hey, there's an opportunity to buy a car. So they knock on the door and they talk to the owner and they don't want to sell it to him. And they're thinking to themselves, why? This old man is never going to fix this car. It's been sitting there for 30, 40 years. They're obviously not in any position to work on it, health wise or financially or whatever, but they won't sell me this car. Why won't they sell me this car? It's just rotting away. I think there are a few different possibilities here. The first one is you're trying to buy the car for less than what the owner thinks it's worth. Maybe you see a car and you feel like it's worth 2 grand, but the owner in their mind feels like it's worth 10 grand. Whether that's true or not, we don't know. Maybe you're just not there on a fair price. So it could be a price issue. I don't think that's usually the case. I think these other two options are probably more likely. One, they don't want to sell the car to you. Now, why would they want you to have the car? Well, think about it. They've taken this car off of the road, they've protected it, or maybe they haven't. Maybe it's just sitting outside, but they feel like they've saved this car from the possibility of somebody hot rodding it, tearing it up, and wrapping it around a tree for all of these years. The last thing they want to do is give it to somebody who they feel may be irresponsible with it. Or maybe they had it in their mind that what they wanted to do was a more period correct build on the car. And they're thinking, okay, this younger person may have an idea in their head to tear it up, cut holes in it, and build a resto mod. And that's not the vision they had for this car that they obviously care about. But I think that this last possibility is probably more likely. Cars sometimes represent ideas, and it's really hard to, I guess, explain this to somebody who doesn't understand. Let's say that you're in your 20s or your 30s, you may not get this. Or maybe you do and you haven't thought about it, but like my father's car, he bought it in 1978 with the intention of restoring the car. And he was going to do it. He was a machinist. He was 44 years old at the time. But life happened. We had to move out of state. And, I was the youngest of four. He had to raise some kids. We ended up moving twice. Then he had health issues. And then there was a matter of just making time to do it. And then there was a matter of money. And then there was a matter of, well, when I feel a little better, maybe I'll do this. Or maybe when I catch up on some of these other projects, I'll get around to it. And he just never did. Now I'm doing it, which is ultimately, what he eventually wanted. But for years, this car was hope. And think about it. I mean, maybe you've got hope too. Maybe you're thinking to yourself, someday I want to go to Europe, or someday I want to, I don't know, meet this amazing woman, or someday I want to achieve this in my life. It's kind of the same thing with these cars where, yeah, they may never get around to it, but just being there at all is kind of a big deal. Just having the car with the hope that maybe someday they can build it the way they envisioned it and take their grandkids for a ride in it is a big deal, even if it never happens. It gives them a reason to get up in the morning. It gives them something to talk about with their friends. Yeah, this whole car, someday I'm going to do this and this and this to it. So you may see a commodity to be bought and sold, but really the owner has something that is a lot more meaningful than that. And they're not going to sell it. Now, someday these old guys are going to pass away and the family's going to do what they're going to do with these cars. You're going to have to wait for that because these old dudes are stubborn. They're not going to let anything go. And it just is what it is. Leave these old men alone. Okay. Leave them alone. This is all they have. This is their big hope. This is something that maybe my dad wanted when we were little or when my siblings were little because it was before I was born, but he couldn't have it because it just wasn't practical. So he figures, okay, I can buy it used when it's 12 years old and I can fix it up and have this cool car that I always wanted. Life got in the way, and at 84 years old, it didn't happen for him. But, here I am trying to build a car with his intentions in mind, and I'm trying to build it in respect to what his vision was, although I'm doing a few things he probably wouldn't approve of. But overall, I think I'm going to make him proud with my build because I know he wanted. I'm not going to do things that, he would have been against. So I don't know, just a little insight. I don't know if it makes sense to any of you or not, but I thought I'd do a video on it. I thought maybe I would try it as a live stream. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.